Hi everybody, welcome to this edition of Iredell-Statesville Schools EDtalks. Our guest today is Melinda Herzog, who is the director of the Iredell Museums. Welcome. Thank you for coming by.
I'm so glad to be here.
Well, you've got an interesting job working at the museum, and I'm an old social studies teacher, so I appreciate museums. And the school system is just absolutely excited about the partnership that we have with the museums. So thank you for being here, and we're excited to hear about some of the great work that you're doing there.
Well, I am thrilled to be part of the community, and we have an amazing job and great partnerships not only with the school system but also the library, Boys and Girls Club, doing programs and outreach. We have a program called Museum Without Walls, and we go out and do STEAM education and STEM as well, just in sciences, and we've been doing that through the summer and into the fall. That program had been funded by the Department of Commerce for many, many years, and unfortunately, at the last round of budget reviews, they ended a 27-year program.
Oh, wow.
And they're converting it over to a grant program with a little less funding, and we're hoping that in the end we'll be able to compete on that and still continue to bring some of those programs. But if not, we are going to find a way through community support to continue to do them, because STEM education is so important.
Yes, it is, and we have embraced that in the school system. That's one of the things that we're excited about partnering with the museums. Tell us a little bit about your locations and what we would see if we were on site at those
Well, we have
locations.
Gregory Creek, which is a collection of log structures that date from 1790s up into mid-19th century. We do educational programs out there where the kids can come in and see those cabins and learn about the life on the frontier that sort of follows from right around the time of right after Fort Dobbs was opened, and then up into and through the Civil War. We also have a building that we use as an old-time schoolhouse, which was typical about the 1880s, and so children get to be able to experience that with programs. We also do weekends for families out there, and that's down on Old Museum Road, just off of Millsaps Road that comes into Highway 115.
And it looks like there are maybe 7 or 8, 9 different buildings on that piece of property.
We've got 2 cabins, the schoolhouse, barn, corn crib, blacksmith shop, and we have a great partnership with several of the blacksmiths in the area. And one of the things we're also looking at for long range for it is that we would be having traditional craft classes in schools out there. So if people do reenactment, or they're artisans and they want to begin a skill or hone it to maybe a middle level, we'll be having affordable workshops out there that they can learn some of these techniques and keep them alive.
Now, I've been by on the weekends and seen the sites when they were up and fully staffed and operating, and it is honestly like walking back in time a little bit. Folks are dressed in period costumes and using relics from the era to do chores and tasks and whatnot. So you can blink your eyes and pretend that you've gone back a couple centuries in time.
The other morning we'd had about 630 children out there doing programs and learning about some of the traditions for the holidays that people celebrated here in the area. It's a great place, and we want to be able to do more and more with it as we continue to expand our outreaches and services. And then our main office is in 134 Court Street, right across from the old jail, where the Iredell Arts, which we partner with as well. And the building was actually has 3 buildings. The first ones go all the way back into the late 1880s. It was a wagon shop, and then an early orange drink, and then finally Coca-Cola merged all 3 buildings into a Coke plant for a while, and Coca-Cola was bottled there. So the buildings have a story themselves, and then now it's being currently being remodeled to be able to open up our new exhibit, which is the Mummy Treasure of Al-Fayoum.
Oh, yes.
This year marks the 60th year of the museum, and the mummy was actually the second item we acquired as a collection. Right? It came to us in an unusual way. The mummy had been part of a seminary school's museum, and when missionaries were going out, they had to learn the culture of where they were heading, and so they gathered things from other missions trips to tell the story. And the mummy was actually brought back to Pennsylvania, Upland, Pennsylvania, by a missionary that was in Luxor, Egypt, in the 1880s, 1890s. Unfortunately, with all of the transfer of the seminary's history, it's not cataloged yet, so we're going box by box to try and find more information about him. But the interesting thing about the Crozer Theological Seminary, it was where Martin Luther King got his training. So Martin would have looked at Margaret when he was in school. So
Well, how fascinating.
I think that's kind of neat.
I'd never heard that link before.
Yeah, and then the other part was once in the 50s, that sort of need to have a museum within the seminary because the world was becoming much more known through television and other things that were starting to come to play. They decided not to continue the museum, and they sought places to put their collections. And a man named Robert Casanova, who was a paleontologist and had moved to Statesville to build a lab here for paleontology, said we have to have her. And he wanted the children of Statesville to be able to see something that they would not likely see in their lifetime.
Wow.
And so he corresponded with the seminary, and they donated it to him for the community. And she came with quite a bit of fanfare, and was very popular. And the children in the 1980s gave her the name Margaret as part of the competition. So when you hear the museum talk about her frequently, it'll be Margaret.
Well, I had never heard the backstory on that. I've seen the mummy several times, but didn't know the history behind that. That's fascinating.
Well, she hasn't been out in a while, so what's going to happen with this exhibit that's very different from others is that we're not just putting her in a display case. We're talking about what her life was like. Through the help of the British Museum, we've more accurately dated her time period. And she was in a very interesting time called the Libyan period. It's the first time Egypt was ruled by someone that wasn't Egyptian. And it's a period of a lot of struggle. There were a lot of people questioning the authority of the pharaohs during this time, and there was lots of conquest. It's not known as well as some of the earlier ones, but she, because of the decorations on her coffins, because she has 3 coffins, and the uniqueness of those designs, we can pretty accurately put it to that period and put it to Fayum, because we really weren't sure of exactly where she came from. We actually thought she was from the Greek and Roman period, but her designs really tell us that she was much earlier.
Fascinating. Now, are you or members of your staff available to go out as speakers in the schools?
Definitely. We'll be more than happy to do outreach. We do also have discovery trunks, and we'll have trunks about Margaret. Opus was one of our donors that made it possible specifically for school trunks.
Yes.
They wanted to see that supported in the community, and we've been really grateful for that. And that can come out as a teacher checking it out, or it can come out with a person coming and doing a program. And those would have to be made by appointment. We're going to be really hectic between now and March.
Oh, yes.
Because we're working for the opening. We have 60 days to install.
Oh, my.
So we're excited. But we want teachers to be aware that it's really a different mix. And it fits a lot of core curriculum goals, both in earth sciences, geography. We have a CSI lab, because Margaret has some surprises inside her. We were able, through Iredell Hospital, to be able to go and do the X-raying of her interior and also CT scans.
Oh, my.
And so we're setting up a CSI lab where we're going to say, what happened to Margaret? Why is she different from other mummies?
Yeah.
And so we've put up 3 different scenarios, and the kids will be able to work through them and decide which one they think might be what happened to Margaret.
Oh, my. The children will get very excited about that. Mysteries at the museum.
I have the adults wanting to do it. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. And we talk about caravan routes, because that was very much a part of Fayum's role. And we have an 8-foot camel with all the Bedouin tack on it that they can see.
Yes.
And then we have maps of the desert. And we've also talked about the dunes and the water sources, the oases, and how those worked. And then the irrigation systems that were used to make Fayoum the breadbasket of Egypt, and it fed all of the city of Rome.
Oh my! I did not
When
know
the
that.
when
Yes.
the Romans conquered it. So these will be some of the things that the teachers can use in the classroom. We'll be teaching children how to write in hieroglyphs and do math in hieroglyphs in the souk, which is a marketplace. And they'll come out with maybe about 30 words of Egyptian language.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
Now, we need to bring some teachers up to the museum and just meet you and whatnot. Maybe we can arrange to do that sometime this spring.
Most definitely, and what we would like is maybe before we totally open up to the public, that they get a chance to have a sneak peek.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to do that. Yeah. Well, it is a wonderful resource in our community, and thank you for being so collaborative and for reaching
it's
out
our
to the
pleasure.
schools.
Museums were part of my childhood, and
Is that right?
my parents took them, and my schools took me there, and it's just really important
Yes.
for our community, and we're very honored to be part of the education of our children here in
Well,
Iredell Valley.
you're one of our strategic partners, and we do appreciate all that you do, and you're easy to work with too, very approachable. So thank you for all of your support.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to tell everybody about what's coming.
Yes. Now, your opening, have you set a date?
Yeah, we're getting close. At the latest, the widespread will be about mid-March. We're going to start having a series of little events so people can get introduced to it. And I want the people of Iredell to get a chance to see it before
Oh, yeah.
we start having the problem with crowds, which
Oh, sure.
we're excited about.
Well, that gives us something to look forward to. So this spring will be a very exciting time for us. We'll be
Most definitely.
anticipating this.
And you're always welcome to stop by and visit.
Well, I
while
will
we're
certainly
along.
do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, folks, thanks for watching today, and particularly to our teachers. If you want more information about the Iredell Museums, feel free to visit their website or to call them directly. And thank you for watching today.